get some white out. Yeah. Hi everyone, I am here at the Bible study. I hope you guys are having a good night. What do you think we're in tonight? Did I tell you guys last night what book was going to be in? Because I can't remember. What do you think? Starts with an M. Tonight we're going to be in the book of Mark, Mark chapter 2. Does anybody know who the devotion is going to be by tonight? Guess. Gwen Ford Falconberry. We haven't heard from her for a while. And let's see. The Bible verse that goes along with the devotion tonight is Mark chapter 2, verses 16 and 17, which says, "They asked, 'Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?'" And I wonder who asked that. Oh, the mighty fine teachers of the law. When Jesus heard this, he told them, "Those who are well don't need a doctor, but the sick do need one." He always knew just what to say, didn't he? Jesus knew what they were thinking or what they were saying, even when they weren't speaking to Jesus himself. Just like he knew what the disciples were talking amongst themselves, even when they weren't speaking to him directly. Now in Mark chapter 2, we're going to be speaking about Jesus heals a paraplegic, the calling of Levi, Jesus questioned about fasting, Lord of the Sabbath, and that looks like it's it for chapter 2. So let me go ahead and read to you Mark chapter 2. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. So many gathered that there was no room left, not even outside the door. And he preached the word to them. Some men came, bringing to him a paraplegic, carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus, and after digging through it, lowered the mat the paralyzed man was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paraplegic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Now, some teachers of the law were sitting there thinking to themselves, "Why does this fellow talk like that? He's blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?" Immediately, Jesus knew in his spirit that this was what they were thinking. Now, they didn't say it out loud. They were thinking this now. And Jesus knew in his spirit they were thinking this. They were thinking it in their hearts. And he knew that they were thinking this. And he said to them, "Why are you thinking these things? Which is easier to say to the paraplegic, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up, take your mat and walk'? But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins," he said to the paraplegic, "I tell you, get up, take your mat, and go home." He got up, took his mat, and walked out in full view of them all. This amazed everyone, and they praised God, saying, "We have never seen anything like this." Once again, Jesus went out beside the lake. A large crowd came to him, and he began to teach them. As he walked along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," Jesus told him. And Levi got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. When the teachers of the law, now listen, when the teachers of the law, who were Pharisees, saw him eating with the sinners and tax collectors, they asked his disciples, Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus heard them. No matter how far away he was, Jesus knew he heard them. On hearing this, Jesus said to them, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Why would you try to heal the healthy? You're here to take the sinners, not the righteous. You're here to help the sick, not the healthy. Why would you need a doctor if you were already healthy, right? Now John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. Some people came and asked Jesus, "How is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but yours are not?" They always had something stupid to ask that they thought was really brilliant, and they thought they was going to stump Jesus on it. Just like the question they asked before about eating with tax collectors and sinners. And Jesus said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick." On hearing this, Jesus said to them, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." And now, he always stumps them. Every time they ask something, he stumps them, and they cannot stand that. And now they're asking this, and what do you think's going to happen? Because Jesus, the righteous are already going. Jesus has to come to help the sinners, not the righteous. The righteous are already taken care of. Now John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, okay? How is it that John's disciples and the Pharisees, John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but yours are not? Jesus answered, "How can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? They cannot so long as they have him with them. But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and on that day they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. If he does, the new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the wineskins will be ruined. No, he pours new wine into new wineskins." And again, I'm sure they did not know what to say. And they probably got very mad, thinking, "Who does he think he is, calling himself the bridegroom?" One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and this is going to make them very furious again. One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and as his disciples walked along, they began to pick some heads of grain. They were hungry. The Pharisees said to him, "Look, why are they doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" He answered, "Have you never read?" Jesus said, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry and in need?" Now this is what David and his companions did when they were hungry. They didn't do it out of disrespect. They did it because they were hungry, just like the disciples did. They were in a field of corn, in the grain fields or wheat field, whatever, and they picked it and ate it because they were hungry. But this is what David and his companions did. Now listen what they did. David and his companions did when they were hungry and in need. In the days of Abiathar, the high priest, he entered the house of God and ate the consecrated bread, which is lawful only for the priest to eat. And he also gave some to his companions. And God accepted that. He did not get in trouble for that. That was fine because they were hungry and in need. Then he said to them, "The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. And that had to infuriate the teachers of the law. They wanted Jesus so much more dead. Every time Jesus spoke, they wanted him dead. And that's where we end chapter 2 of Mark. The more Jesus spoke, the more they wanted him dead. The more people were around, they wanted people to riot and stone Jesus, but the people usually were fleeing with Jesus, and they were afraid of the people, but the people would side with Jesus and turn against them. But eventually, it went the other way, and they were crucify, crucify. But now I'm going to read to you the devotion and see what Gwen has to say to us tonight about this Bible reading. What she thinks about it. Okay, Gwen says tonight, I lead the praise team at my church. We have a group text for sending practice schedules and stuff like that. Last Sunday, one of our members wrote, I won't make it to the service today. I just don't feel like singing. I may not come back to church until I get a grip on my problems. People responded, let me know if I can do anything to help. Praying for you. You will be missed. All kind of attempts to support in an awkward situation. I thought about it for a while and prayed. Being a private person, I feel weird in these situations. It's like I'm embarrassed for the person because I would never share something like that in a group. As soon as I had the thought, I felt convicted. It was as if Jesus himself spoke to my heart. Why would this be awkward? It's exactly what I wanted you to do. It's exactly what the church is for. Suddenly it seemed like this actually was the church. It actually was a praise team. The church is more than service. Music is more than praise. I wrote back, we love you. You don't have to be in a good mood or have a grip on your stuff. We are for you, and Jesus is too. From now on, I'm going to try to be more awkward at church instead of acting like I have it all together. Maybe if we do that, more people will feel safe enough to be vulnerable like this girl was, and church can be more healing place for all of us. That was nice. And that's what she says. This makes me think of, what's it called? Hang on, give me 1 second. Oh, mine's going stupid because I'm trying to hurry. Hang on. That one. There's a song by Casting Crowns that would go good with this that I want you guys to listen to. About this girl. She feels so alone. And she wants to go to church and everything. She's looking for a place to be, to feel accepted. But everybody, like the people in the church and stuff, they sneer at her because of the way she looks and stuff. Like they don't accept her. They just give her dirty looks because the way she's dressed and stuff. They're like judging her, so then she's afraid to go in. What's that called? Give me a second. I'm going to look that up because I want you guys to listen to that song with this devotion. It's important. I'm on YouTube right now, so I'll let you know. Alright, because I've been looking it up, so with this devotion, I want you guys to go to Casting Crowns on YouTube and listen to the song, Does Anybody Hear Her? Does Anybody Hear Her? By Casting Crowns. And if you're an emotional person, you will cry. I cry every single time I hear that song. But it goes very good with this devotion. That girl's looking to be accepted. She wants to find acceptance. And she's even looking for acceptance. Maybe I'll try to go to church. Maybe I'll try to go to the church and find acceptance. And then she ain't in very good clothes. But I'll try to go in there anyway. Maybe they'll accept me. And somebody holds their daughter close to them and looks at her like, get away from her, So then she feels bad and gets in her car and leaves or walks away because she feels judged, which is horrible. And that's happened. That's happened to me before. In a way, by the preacher. It was different situation. But yeah, and anyway, she ends up being helped by a waitress in a restaurant. But Casting Crowns, Does Anybody Hear Her? I want you guys to listen to that tonight. I won't even give you the homework by Gwen tonight. That's the homework from me to you. Go to Casting Crowns on YouTube and listen to Anybody Hear. Does Anybody Hear Her? By Casting Crowns. And we'll just stop right there. I won't even read the animal devotion tonight because that's important to me. That's your homework. That's the rest of the stuff for tonight's devotion. That's the rest of the stuff for the Bible study. Go to Casting Crowns on YouTube and listen. Does Anybody Hear Her? Yes. That's the rest of everything for the Bible study tonight. Okay, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Please go do the homework tonight. It's very important to me. Let me know what you think. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Let's bring those souls to Jesus. And God willing, I hope you guys do go do the homework. Good night, guys. God bless.